if you could take a moment and go to thegrowingbanddirector.com to give at least $5 or $3 a month, and it helps the content continue to be created for you to help our profession grow. Let's go back to our scheduled episode. Welcome back to the Growing Band Director podcast. This is, I don't know what episode it is, but we are here at the Exceclia booth
It's
on
high.
day 2.
It's a high number of
It's a high
episodes.
number at Midwest 2024. It's Thursday. I'm here with Travis Weller. How are you?
Great, man. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I don't remember what episode you were on, but it was recently
One
90.
I might have been 199 or 198, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Tom Brady was pick number 199. So maybe
You're saying there's hope for me. That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, this is great. I'm happy to be here. How's Midwest been for you so far?
You know what? It's been great. Had a really great lunch today. I'm sitting there with Dion, who writes a lot of string stuff for Carl Fisher. Mike Tatman, the editor, Carl Fisher, he's across. Quincy's right there. I've got Mark Lortz to this side. Just talking shop, talking about the craft of composition, the art of composition. And that was really just awesome to do that. And you come to Midwest as a composer and you get a chance to visit with the other people who are doing what you do. And you're talking about the creative process and how things start to roll and how things start to really get good, and finding where you can plug in an idea and make it work. And sometimes like understanding that, like, man, I really want to write this piece. It's going to be for grade 2. It's going to be for a middle school band. And you write that melody line and you're like, this is not a grade 2 melody. So how do I get through, and how do I edit myself to still satisfy that the musical integrity of the idea, but keep it within a range level that a middle school band could maybe approach it? And like going through that process, it gets infinitely harder as you go younger.
Yes.
And that's, that's something. And so when you find those really great younger works, something like Timothy Lose produces, there's so much care and attention to how the idea grows, from its germinal idea to its finalized idea, and how it helps the kids. So that part of Midwest, I really love being part of that. The groups you hear are amazing. I just presided at a session for Shelley Jago, and like Shelley just knocked it out of the park, and all that stuff's good. But that third level for me that I get is just that being able to talk with others about the creative process.
I love that. So when we met, was it the summer we met?
Summer, yeah.
Or something? You mentioned as one of your inspirations, I forget if you were talking about film score or John Williams in general.
Yes.
But since then, I've seen the John Williams documentary.
Yeah.
And I assume you have.
You know what? It's on my
to-do
Christmas list.
All right.
I've had a rather busy fall semester, and I want to be devoid of all distractions.
Yep.
And over Christmas break, just want to sit down.
You will not be disappointed.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Would be better than anything Andy Boyson has written.
Oh, there he said it. Andy Boyson.
I am on an Andy Boyson pitch count.
The man crush.
I'm not allowed to say him more than 3 times. Andy Boyson. Oh, that's number 3. Is he going to appear? Andy?
So if he's not here, yeah.
He's not here. That's unfortunate.
So if somebody went into your classroom, or, you as a band director, what's something that you think you do really well? Not on the composing side, but on the educator side. Not that that was weird, because composing and educating they're one and the same. But
they are, like, and I will say, I'll speak to that. Well, the one thing that composing has really opened up for me is my score study, and understanding how something is put together helps me to understand the choices that another composer makes, and how they're crafting a piece and what they want to try and accomplish. And, are there actual like technical restrictions that they are thinking about because they know the age of the players and the general development level. The other thing though, I would say that I maybe do better than my conducting is just getting students to believe in themselves and what they're capable of, and finding ways to give them repertoire and encouraging them so that they're going to be able to get over the fear of, oh, that looks hard. Mm-hmm. That sounds hard. I don't know if I can do this, And I tell some of my students, I'm okay if I'm living rent free in your mind for the rest of your life because you said you couldn't, and I shared with something with you that made you believe you could.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, and I remember you saying that when we met before, because I think we even called it empowering others was
Yeah.
part of the.
It just, I mean, it really has to be like, I want kids, any student I work with, I don't care, my own students at Messiah who are continuing that journey of making music, even though many of them are non-majors. I don't work with a lot of the majors. They're in the advanced band, they're in the orchestra. The kids I see in honor bands, I want them to have that lifelong relationship with music as a maker, as an appreciator. And that takes some love.
So, what are some honor band pieces that are your go-to that also are not just honor band pieces that a lot of people could use, either of yours or just in general? And
Yeah.
I remember you said when you do an honor band, people ask you to do a couple of your pieces. You're like, yeah, I'll do one, and then from there, I got to do other people's music.
I mean,
So,
people can tell from the jokes I've made already in this episode. Like one of me is enough. Like
Yep.
I go a long way. I'm on the lookout right now for Satoshi Yagasawa. There are three pieces of his that I think are excellent choices. One is Fanfare Hayabusa. Another of his, it's a beautiful lyrical work called Largo. And then he has another one called Hunting Scenes that I'm going to be doing on a region band in March. Carol Chambers, who was roaming around here just a few minutes ago. I love Carol's stuff. If it's a junior high band, you want to look at Softly Speaks the Night.
Yeah, I've done that.
So playable, and it's just lovely, beautiful lines. A piece of hers that I've done recently with my own group at Messiah, but I've also done it at an honor band. It's called Alegria, and it means joy. It sounds like joy, and it's so much fun to put together. At one point in the piece, it calls for extra tambourines. I was sharing this with Carol. I had to buy foot tambourines to get the extra tambourine sound because my instrumentation was such I couldn't necessarily sacrifice one of the wind players to like hop on the tambourine. So I bought them foot tambourines.
Another piece of hers I really like that's of the harder grade level is Rusty Bucket.
Rusty Bucket.
Especially if you like country hoedown music, because I did Brian Balmage's oh man, I don't remember it. There's a hoedown piece of his. It's Cut Time.
Yeah.
You're Not bailing me out.
I'm sorry.
And then we did another one. So this is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's super good.
I liken the Rusty Bucket. If you liked Molly on the Shore,
yep.
And then Molly went and hit all the whiskey dive bars of the South, you will love the Rusty Bucket. I just think it's like, yes, more of that, please. And plus there's a killer euphonium part in there.
Yep.
And like, yes, do that more. Love Carol's stuff. It's been I just did Willie Owens is around here somewhere. I just did Willie Owens, But Joy Comes. And it's an interesting lyric work because it's not quite a hymn tune, but it's very hymn-like. And it's based on that verse in Psalm. Darkness lasts the night, but joy comes in the morning. And it was just, again, the journey of life that I'm on. My father's been dealing with Parkinson's for the past 3 years, and he passed away over October break. And I got to be there and help my mom. And as I returned to campus the following week and just sort of got back on with life, I was reminded, but joy comes because my dad wasn't suffering anymore. And my beliefs and my personal faith and his faith tells me he was going to be in a better place,
right.
know. And so I've done a lot of Willie stuff at the lower levels. But I haven't done a lot in his grade 3, grade 4 catalog. And so to be able to do that piece and have that point in my life and my kids really played it beautifully. So if you're looking for a mature lyric work that just has a lot of moments for expression and solos, opportunity, but joy comes, I think is a wonderful contribution. Scott Watson, Scott's again, man, everybody I'm talking about, I swear I'm not making this up. They're all around here somewhere. But Scott's got a couple that I really like. The Lion of Ireland, which is maybe on the easier side of grade 3. His Extraordinary Machines of Clockwork and Steam.
Yep.
I'm looking at that for this spring. It does involve a lot of percussion. There's a lot of extra effects there, but Scott has just written piece so well. If you're looking for like a contest level piece for Scott, he has one that I really like that's maybe falls in that 1.5, 2 range called Awake the Iron.
Okay.
Which I think is just great. And
normally on these podcasts, we have the pieces planned and then we put in an audio file and everybody listens to it and we go home happy. And
at this point,
we are not doing that. So
we're not doing
actually, no, really? Are you going to do it for me?
Well,
the amount of pieces that you just listed off would
okay.
take me.
I was about to say, well, yeah, and you're only going to be able to play like 7 seconds, and then okay. I'm completely wrecking your format. I love this.
No, it's perfect. No, I love that. What about composer or a piece that people don't play anymore? Younger band directors go like, "Who's Frank Erickson?" or
right,
or what's Kentucky 1800? Or okay, to me, I love that.
Like Kentucky 1800. That's like that gold standard, like grade 3. Like if you're advanced middle school,
and not like a hard grade 3.
It's
like,
not
it's playable.
Teach it.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of it. I think that one is absolutely wonderful. One that I love for high school level is Overture in B flat by Giovanni Cesarini. Like that one plays.
Yep.
And it doesn't get the love. There's some stuff in there that's absolutely awesome. You know, it's interesting because like there are a number of toccatas that are out there. Like a modern example, Patrick Burns's toccata. It's amazing. It goes after some things and it's a lot of fun to play.
Dumb band director joke. What's a toccata? What is that definition?
I don't
know.
I don't.
You don't know. Okay. I didn't mean to
well,
you, but
no. Oh, I thought it was
what is the definition?
I thought you were setting up a joke.
No,
dude, a keyboard work with rapid flourishing passages.
That's what a toccata is.
Yeah.
All right.
In a nutshell.
So I came to Midwest to learn that. Thank you.
I mean, you could ask me in the summer, but anyway, it didn't come up. But then you also have like toccata for band, by Erickson, and that one's pretty sweet. Chris,
can you get me some chocolate?
Chris Berg is here. He's the guy who wrote The Chicken. It's one of my favorite jazz charts of all time. You have an excellent barber, sir. I love it.
I've never been in a trio where I have the most hair. Today I am.
You are now. Get him in here.
There we go. See?
Look at this. Look at this beautiful handiwork our barbers did.
It's all testosterone.
Yes.
Our high levels.
Yes. It's getting weird now.
What? Come on.
Whatever you do, don't ask him about the wife.
Boys.
Okay.
Just don't use the phrase "the wife." She hates.
That's off limits. Listen,
if she doesn't like it, I don't like it.
Listen, I have been happily in this game for like 20. Let me think about that. Yeah, 27 years. I know enough not to ask that question, especially when there's going to be video audio.
That's right.
I'm good. There's Christina Haas. She's writing amazing music. Yeah. We were just talking about you. I'm just selling your music here. Okay, there we go.
Please do.
But then there's also the older toccata, that the Frescobaldi.
I don't know that.
Okay. Interesting. Like I was at Honor Band one year, and Mark Camphouse was the director, and they start playing ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-da-dum bum 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 bum. And I'm like, I don't know this piece at all. And I talked to him, I said, what is this piece? And Mark encouraged me. He's like, listen, learn one new old work every year. Just make it your mission. Learn one new old work that you can share with your kids, because there's greatness in them. That's why they're still around. And so like, that was the one that I took the first opportunity to do. And so like, even just like exploring some like song types and song forms and searching by titles, you can discover some really uncovered gems. And so that's, it's exciting.
And I feel like last time we talked, you said that Air for Band was like your impetus for so many things.
Yeah.
I heard that piece and it just did everything for you.
It did. And like, I was scared to write a lyric work because of it, because I knew that would be the standard to which it was held, I'm getting a little more braver. I've got a young band lyric work called Abalone Sunset with Carl Fisher, and I'm really excited about it. And couple things next year that I'm really excited about. There's a piece in development with RWS that is an extension of my piece Pirates. It sort of finishes that story. I had all this written material back when I finished Pirates that I didn't get a chance to use. And so I went back and while Finale was still working and went back and developed all of it, so it's going to be ready to go. And I've got another one called The Art of Espionage that I did for David Teeney's group in Loyal Sock Township up in the middle part of Pennsylvania. And it's a spy influence piece.
Can people hear that anywhere?
It'll be coming out this spring.
Okay.
And it's it's blues influenced. There are some written like 2-measure call and response solos between the band and soloists. And
Cool.
obviously, like, you can play what's written, but if you've got some kids who know what they're doing, let them go for 2 measures. Like, you're not going to offend me. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's have some creativity, and that'll be okay. So
Love that.
yeah, dude. It's awesome that you're doing this.
Yeah.
I think this needs to be an institution. I think like this needs to, like, we need to start paying you to do this while you're here.
Yeah.
That would be all right.
People, I mean, if people are feeling like it, they could go $3 a month and they would never know they're paying. It's $3 a month, but they
$3.
just sign up on.
You've got $3 right now.
They can go to
Talking to all of you.
Yeah.
I've got $3.
No, you don't have to hand me money.
But what if
If you're going to hand me,
I can't hand the money, apparently. However,
I'll take your $3 every month, though.
every month, though,
That's right.
it's a cup of coffee, right?
That's right.
Just buy a cup of coffee for Kyle. Is it that
Yeah.
complicated, folks?
There you go.
Dude, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me on.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Exceclia Music Publishing is proud to sponsor the Growing Band Director podcast. Exceclia Music Publishing provides new music for concert band, jazz ensemble, solo and ensemble, and books for all levels and occasions, including a specially curated and robust selection of music for your contest and festival performances. A variety of overtures, marches, and lyric works included on numerous state lists await. Select music that's perfect for your contest and festival needs at excelsiamusic.com. That's EXCELCIA music.com. I mean, if you can be a successful beginning band teacher, you can do anything.
Absolutely.
From the world. Welcome back to Growing Band Director podcast here on day 2, Thursday of Midwest, here with Mary Cogswell. How are you?
Thanks. Doing really well. Thanks for the invite.
For people who don't know you just retired after
33 years. Yes.
beginning band mainly.
Beginning band, all 33 years. And the first 4 was a 5 through 12 gig.
So all of us high school teachers need to just bow to you.
Okay.
Thank you for all the people you have started.
You're welcome. Yep. It's a lot. On average, 120 to 140 per year.
As someone who lives with a beginning band teacher,
Mhm.
I can't say I understand because
That's okay.
I've been taught that I don't, but I
Fair
understand that I don't understand.
And that means a lot, I'm sure, from your wife.
Yep. So a note to beginning band teachers. What's important as you're teaching beginning band? What's not important at the beginning?
The one thing that I tell anyone that's doing beginning band is to not underestimate how important the recruitment part of it is,
Mhm.
because really you have one opportunity in general to get them in the door. There are opportunities for some beginners, maybe in middle school or high school, but really you have the one opportunity because they're going to drop. We know that. I mean, that's part of it, but yeah, you just have to make the most of that recruitment period.
Did you allow them to start on anything that was in band, or did you have limits?
I tried to let them start on whatever they wanted to start on. I didn't start oboe, bassoon,
Yep.
But otherwise, generally, unless they had something really physically that was going to make them be unsuccessful, I encouraged them. I wanted them to play the instrument they wanted to play because in theory, that's what they would practice.
Was there any consideration of what your balance was in your band? If it's like, or you just wanted to start the individuals?
I didn't take that into a lot of consideration. No.
Okay.
And generally it worked out okay. Sometimes too many alto saxophones, of course, or trumpets. But as they moved into middle school, then most of the time they were, pretty willing to switch to baritone or.
So I'm going to throw just some questions that are coming to my mind.
Sure.
And, what's the name of another beginning band teacher that you really admire anywhere in the country?
Oh, that's tough. A lot of Texas band directors, although that's probably a little bit unrealistic because of just the situations are so different. I have a colleague actually in South Dakota who's also been on the podcast, Del Hubers.
Yep.
He does a fantastic job with with what he has a perfect situation with amount of time
He
and
commissions a lot of every year.
he
commissions
does.
people.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, yep. But he has a lot of contact time with his students. And so, yeah, he produces a good product and that program is good.
I have to mention a piece, but before we do that, except for that piece that we're going to talk about,
Yes.
some rapid fire great pieces for beginning band that people who are now teaching beginning band should know and use, in your opinion.
There are a lot by Michael Sweeney, and there's like Band Room Boogie, Creatures in the Attic by Brian Balmages. There are a bunch in the Beginning Band Adaptable Series that we'll talk about. But yeah, Michael Sweeney has a ton. Brian Balmages.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with almost any of them.
What about method books that you like to use?
I always say this when I speak to mainly undergraduate students. It doesn't matter what method book you use because there are going to be positives and negatives of every single book. I personally used Sound Innovations, but there are parts of it that I skipped over. I always tell everybody, don't feel like you are chained to the method book. But
do your own supplemental materials.
do your own
stuff.
Exactly.
My wife always insists from the very beginning on good tone.
Yep. That's key.
Because a lot of teachers will just say, well, they're new.
Well, and that's true, but you can still, if they sound like, a chainsaw, you can obviously try and help them understand that that's not the sound we're going, a lot of modeling.
And sometimes she says, I have to be there. Like I have to listen to them in rehearsal. Like I can't sit through. It's
totally true. Yep. And, I try to, within reason, really introduce the tuning. And I realize, they are not capable of holding a steady tone to tune, but you can come close. And a lot of that is because it's for me, because it's, it's just like, you can't stand it.
And maybe their parents, they're at home.
We're going to try and get close.
What was I going to say? Common problems on any of the instruments that like people need to watch for and maybe a quick fix.
Posture.
You can tell so much about a band when you just see them sit there.
Posture, instrument playing position. It's easy, especially when you're brand new. Are they holding it correctly? Do you really know if they're holding it correctly? Do you know, are the clarinet's hands flipped? It's been known to happen. So, just those really small details that you probably just take for granted, that you have to be paying attention to those things.
What's something, if people were to go see you in your classroom as a teacher on a normal day, something you do really well?
Multitasking, and being engaged with the students. I'm really for having alternate seating arrangements where the students are spread out. They don't necessarily sit by a person that plays the same instrument that they do. It forces them, in theory, to have their own music instead of looking off their neighbors. It gives them, forces them to start to become independent players. And then it allows me as the educator to roam and fix the posture problems and the hand positions. Go back and stand in the percussion section because you never know what they're doing. And sometimes they don't know what they're doing.
I'll just say that just saying the word roam is probably new to some people. Like I know my wife, she's like, yeah, for younger kids, I'm never on the podium.
Correct.
I'm
always roaming. Yep. Very rarely until we get to closer to a concert.
Yeah.
Then we start actually learning, okay, this is what I'm doing up here. And then I teach them how to conduct.
Right.
So they know what I'm doing and they know what to look for.
So some people talk about like splitting the band in half. So you have a row back to percussion section. That's another thing.
I just have my students are really spread out. And I'll put them in maybe like little quartets, really spread out all over the room. So it's until we get close to a concert, they're in very untraditional seating arrangements.
How about did we talk about beginning band pieces already?
A little bit, yes. Creatures in the Attic.
That's right. We did that. Okay. It's been a long day. All right. Let's get to the main event.
Okay.
The Beginning Band Adaptable Series.
Murphy Music Press that I co-edit with Robert Ambrose, who is the director of bands at Georgia State. It was created during COVID, but the main goal of it was to bridge the gap between the method book and a real full 60 whole measure beginning band piece.
Yep.
And it's flex. So there are all sorts of programs all over the United States, regardless of size of district or school that's really unbalanced. And sometimes you can't control that. You're a new director. And so it's that adaptable quality to it and more unique tunes. That's something you typically wouldn't hear, and written by a very diverse and talented group of composers.
Do you buy individual pieces, or does it come in a book collection, or?
Individual pieces?
Yep.
And
Cool.
each of them is anywhere from 25 to 40 measures long.
And let's talk about Rock This Band.
Yes, Rock This Band. It's a very popular piece that is in the Sound Innovations book, number 50. Lots of people know that. It became a thing, and I knew Robert Sheldon, the composer of it. He had visited South Dakota, and I chauffeured him back and forth to the airport a few times, and we talked about it and how successful it had been in our program, our 5 through 12 program. And one time I was here at Midwest, and he said, I think we need to expand that. Let's make a full version of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be awesome. And he did that. And so now we do a 512 concert, and my group always plays number 50 in the book. And all of these 6 through 12 kids clap along. And then we do the full version of it as a 5 through 12 combined piece at the end. And the upper class kids they eat it up.
The amount of kids who are playing grade 4, 5, and 6 in this country who love Rock This Band
It's totally true.
is a lot.
Yep. And that's awesome.
What if you found yourself programming for a high school? Like, you've programmed for beginning band a lot.
Forever.
What are some pieces you're like, you know what, I love this piece and would do?
Well, I'm actually conducting an honor band in the spring. And so I have Skyward by Katash Copley programmed for that. It's in 3. And another one I really love that's very different is Hitchbot by Alex Tedrow.
Okay.
And it has an electroacoustic track behind it.
Cool.
Yeah, so those things that are just slightly different, I'm all for. But you also need the standard. It can get a march in there, but Kevin Day, Katash Copley, there's some just really great things right now that are being written.
So you teach beginning band. How old? Like, just beginning band, or
Just beginning band?
Okay.
5th grade only.
So you've never done a ballad?
Not with my beginners.
Okay.
No. But I did another honor band recently, and I did After the Rain by Matt Neufeld. Awesome grade 1 lyrical piece. Awesome. Yeah. Highly recommend people check that one out.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Thanks for taking some time.
Thanks for the invite.
People want to reach out to you. How do they do that?
I think if you just Google Mary Cogswell, South Dakota, it's going to come up.
Austin Custom Brass is a proud sponsor of today's podcast. They can be found online at austincustombrass.biz. The Austin Custom Brass shop is located in Kansas City, Missouri. They're frequent attendees at MEAs around the country, including a TMEA in Texas and Kansas and Missouri. They go to Midwest and Chicago and International Trumpet Guild. And give them a call today at 816-410-0826. If it's anything brass, they have it. Beginner to professional. This is a startup company from many years ago that's grown and grown and grown. Trent Austin has done a fantastic job with this. They're great people. They have many types of instruments, from Adams to Rath trombones and Shires and Getzen and Edwards and Schilke and Lotus and Courtois and many, many more. They have many new and pre-owned instruments. You can check them out online again at austincustombrass.biz. They also offer a great selection of high-quality, budget-conscious brass instruments for students and band programs, including being the exclusive dealer for Manchester Brass, great company. They also offer Brass Spire, Carroll Brass, John Packer, Y. Fort, and of course, their own wonderful line of instruments, Austin Custom Brass Doublers line. Give them a call today at 816-410-0826 and find out why they can help you grow as a brass player. There are remarkable resources for all brass players, and they will do POs and work within your budget for your band program to get you what you need for your kids. Welcome back to the Growing Band Director Podcast here at Midwest Thursday, day 2, wrapping up day 2. I'm here with Willie Owens, very famous, prolific composer. Nice to see you.
Well, it's good to be here, Kyle. Appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
100%. People know your name because you've been composing for a very long time, a lot of pieces. So you said, I just met you just now, and it's an honor to meet you.
The honor's all mine.
Thank you. Now I lost my question. You gave me a compliment and I forgot my question. Hold on. Okay, so you said you were in the classroom for 30
Yes,
years.
sir.
Yep. So how does that reflect in your music?
Well, interestingly enough, I tell people this when I get this question all the time. I actually had no aspirations to be a composer. I wrote my first piece when I was 31 years old. Okay, I mean, so many people get going early, but again, I jumped in late. Now, my career started back in the mid 80s, and back in those days, there wasn't much literature for the for the elementary and lower levels.
Yeah.
For middle school and all that. There were some things. You had guys like Jim Playar, Jim Swearingen, Frank Erickson, but even their material was, grade 3 and on. And it was just starting to come around, with people like Andrew Balint, and that was very helpful.
Yeah.
But I just got thinking now, if I were going to arrange or if I were going to compose a piece from my little 33-piece 7th grade band, which I was teaching back in the late 80s, I would do this and this and this. And basically I just wrote down a simple melody and put a bass line behind it, did a little bit of harmony, added some percussion and just kind of chiseled away and worked on it. Before I knew it, I had me a cool little march. Or at least I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and we played it, and to my great surprise, it actually worked. It sounded like something.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much how it got started. And so I went and did a couple of things that was a little more difficult, and I was strongly encouraged by a couple of mentors to send them in to to be published, which is how I hooked up with TRN Music Publisher. These were the pre-email days.
Wow.
So I sent those in, and then about 2 weeks later, I got a letter, snail mail, saying they'd like to accept it. And that's pretty much how I got started. I like to tell people I got in by accident.
Yeah, I think I was listening to one of the after sectionals, and then they said, "Yeah, anything by Willie Owens, we're gonna do." Like, I don't even need to see it. I just know.
Well,
So you have that.
Get it, but I appreciate it.
What's the name of another composer? How about music that it doesn't get played as much that you wish you saw bands performing more?
Okay.
Willie has his answer. Okay.
Well, no. I mean, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought that one along because I've got a few composers that I absolutely love that I wish were being played more. Francis Macbeth would be one. And I had so much wonderful personal exposure to that gentleman when he would come to my college. I attended Vandercook here in Chicago. And Dr. Macbeth would come and he would share his knowledge with us, and it was always a magical time. I don't see his music being played as much as in days of old.
Yep.
And to me personally, that's a little disappointing because it's such wonderful music.
Great.
Now, another favorite of mine that I'd like to see that I think is phenomenal is Claude Smith. And now his daughter, Pam, has resurrected his music, and the RWS label, is carrying his music, which I'm delighted to see. And I would love to see more band directors, embrace the music of Claude Smith because, at the time, I mean, it really, really came to fruition in the 70s and the 80s, and it was just so different. It was so fresh for the time and very, very, very contemporary. And, as a high school student and as an early college student, I mean, to me, that music, the music of Claude Smith, just stood out as different from anything else.
And for people who are listening to this, Willie and I just scheduled an actual full session that we're going to do later on this spring, where we'll actually pick a bunch of your music and we'll listen to the pieces and all that.
To do that.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be.
Well, as fun as Zoom can be. So, next question I had. You've clinicked a lot of bands. You've done a lot of honor bands. So 2 questions around that. What is a general comment that you think the majority of band directors need to hear? Like a piece of advice, not having actually seen them teach, but what's something that that you think a lot of band directors could hear from you?
Well, having never heard the ensemble, the first thing I would address with that director is, how is the basic tone production of the group? And because I mean, the first thing I would have to address is here again, without not having heard your group, is just make sure they sound fine and make sure you're getting great fundamental tones from all your sections. And if you can demonstrate those tones on an instrument and play from, that's great. You don't have to be a virtuoso on every instrument, but be able to make a great sound on one or two notes, on every one. And if you're able to do that, that would just be so much more advantageous. At that point, you can address tuning, because if you don't have great tones, you can't tune.
Yep.
You can't tune a bad tone.
Yep.
And so here again, at a very fundamental level, I would say, let's just get them sounding great.
Love it. You do a lot of honor bands. Let's take your music out for a moment.
Okay.
What's a couple pieces that you love to do with an honor band and why?
Okay, a couple of pieces. One of my go-to for middle school bands, especially for the smaller districts, I've got a favorite by a buddy of mine from North Carolina, Mikel Rogers, Autumn Fanfare. Now, I like that one because, it's very flexible. I can do things with it depending on the level of the group, and I love it for the the more elementary level honor bands, because it's scored well. It's very strategically scored. Okay, the rhythms speak to that level, and it's just very appealing. Kids just catch on to that one right away.
Great. I was just performed. In fact, today that we're recording this, it's odd because it's going to come out a month or two later. I just had an episode released. It's called Using Holiday Music to Teach Time Signatures. So like cut time and 6/8, what are some? So I was looking at YouTube videos of a piece I've used. Grandma got run over by a reindeer, Chris Sharp arrangement.
Chris Sharp, love it.
And I came across, and the recording I was able to use was you conducting it.
Yep.
Yeah. What a great little arrangement that is.
Oh, it's phenomenal. No, I use it a good bit. Okay. I use it with, when I was teaching, I used it with a couple of my school bands, and, Chris is just such a phenomenal writer. Now, Chris has taught, he's got a good bit of teaching experience under his belt, and Chris gets it. He knows what kids need. Okay. He's aware of the different levels of what should happen and what shouldn't happen, or what should and shouldn't be attempted. And it's just great. Chris is phenomenal at writing music that just make young groups sound good.
Love it.
Okay.
I just had him on a podcast. It just released. Yeah. Beautiful. How about the name? Let's finish with this today, because this is going to close and I think they're going to lock us in. Well, name a really great band teacher that you know from somewhere in the country that you want to give a shout out to.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a cool.
Any level.
Oh, any level. I could, man.
Because you're going to say somebody, but then you're going to feel like you're leaving people out.
Right.
So any names that come to mind?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, and this is a little bit biased. My high school band director, Ann Betts. She taught the high school level for a bit, and most of her career was in middle school. And she was just such an inspiration. And she herself, she was a fantastic musician, just a great woodwind player. And she's why you and I are sitting here talking now.
Love it.
And all throughout my career, my approach would be, okay, what would Ann have done in this situation?
People need to realize, like, she was that to you, but like everybody listening who's a band director or future band director, they're that to somebody else. Like, so you just don't know what kind of impact you're having in the moment. No. Just understand you're having a bigger impact that you probably know.
That's it. And looking back on it, listen, she understood literature. She could play. She could teach. It was just all so very natural.
Yep.
And she made it fun.
Love it. Well, Willie, thank you. I can't wait to see you in a couple months.
Thank you. April's going to be a blast.
Beautiful.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
100%. That's great.
We sincerely appreciate you taking your valuable time and listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. Your students are very lucky to have a band director like you. If you have any suggestions for episode topics or think you have an area of expertise to share on a show with us, please reach out. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe as well. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Growing Band Director. See you next week.